Good afternoon, greater Philadelphia area. This is Toole Time Real Estate Radio on WWDB 860 AM. I'm Tom Toole. She's Stacy Mitchell. She's Sarah Time, and we all work at the Tom Toole Sales Group at RE/MAX Mainline, the number one RE/MAX team in Pennsylvania since 2018. And we've got Nick Wolf behind the camera. We're going to cover a couple things today. There was an amazing interview. I thought this was – did you guys listen to this yet, the Ryan Serhant interview with Byron? Byron Lazine interviewed Ryan Serhant and did not talk about Bravo and being celebrity, but rather the real estate business. We're going to cover that at the end. Keller Williams also settled the Sitzer-Burnett lawsuit. Smart move by them. And first, we're going to lead in with the jobs report, the post-Fed meeting, and what's going on with mortgage rates. So if you get some value out of this, make sure to subscribe to the channel on YouTube. Click the bell for notifications. And if you want to schedule a call with our amazing team, these two ladies specifically, just click on the link in the comments. So the Fed spoke last week. They had their meeting. I thought overall it was relatively positive. And then the jobs report came out. And the jobs report, it's amazing what's going on with jobs. When you look at some of the takeaways from the jobs report, what we're seeing is that unemployment claims, they jumped up dramatically in January here for the first time in a while. They're north of 220,000, and it caused mortgage rates to kind of move around a little bit. This was the first time we've really seen this happen. So what's your take on what the Fed said first? And Stacey, why don't we lead with you? I know you love the Fed. I think you got a Jerome Powell picture hanging above your fireplace at home. What did you think about the meeting? What did you think about the comments? And what do you think about this jobs report?
So, yeah, Jerome Powell's my favorite person. The Fed, they signal now that there may not be as many decreases as they anticipated this year in moving the interest rate. So I know that is a little different from what they speculated previously. Everybody was anticipating and hopeful 3 cuts this year at least, maybe more. Mm-hmm. Some people were talking about 5. So they're kind of backpedaling on that now. And the jobs report, I mean, everyone's still touting this amazing economy that, everything, the stock market's at 38,000. Yesterday it went higher. But that's really based on just probably like 4 to 7 stocks. They're the ones that are really affecting the stock market. And let's be clear, stock market is not the economy. Mm-hmm. But the jobs report, things I think coming in December, notoriously, there's hires for holiday, mm-hmm. Seasonal hires. So if they back off, there's been massive, there's been a number of layoff announcements, one particularly 12,000 at UPS. So things are getting a little bit interesting, mm-hmm. and it probably is not shaking out as much as they, as hopeful as they wanted it to be, right, as far as the Feds are concerned. So I think that that's a real concern because, we were very hopeful that we would see a number of cuts, mm-hmm. to affect the interest rates. Sarah and I were talking before the show that, your clients were quoted rates over 7%. Right. Just recently. Yeah, like a week and a half ago. Yeah, so to me that was enlightening because I haven't had anybody quoted in the 7s yet. Right. So it seems, and on my way in today on the radio, I heard that the average is about 7% now for mortgage rates. Right. So it's definitely going to have an impact on the market. I've seen a number of buyers come back into the market when they were in the 6s. Mm-hmm. So if they do trend up higher, it's going to have an impact.
I think another important thing to remember with predicting what's going to be happening, and we talk about this all the time, that you cannot time the market. So just weeks ago, the Fed was very confident and expressing, that they were going to be doing cuts throughout the year. There was a lot of, different people, saying anywhere from 3 to 6 to, where we thought that was going to fall into play. And then now we're February 6th, and they're already kind of coming back on that. So, you can't know with any certainty what they're going to do. You can predict, but they get revised. So there's no crystal ball.
Well, so what Jerome Powell said specifically was a lot of people were anticipating a March rate cut, and that's just that might be a little too early. I didn't hear anything or see anything saying they're not going to cut rates 3 times. there was other folks. I know Logan Motoshami and some other economists. They said that, hey, we might see like 6 rate cuts this year. I thought that was way too optimistic in the first place, given how this has gone. So I don't see the Fed pivoting. I think they're just waiting a little bit to see how some of this data comes in. And then you look at this jobs report, and the jobs data that's probably why you saw 7% rates. I mean, that's pretty clear because, there's better headline jobs were reported. If you kind of go into what that actually means. So it's surprise to the upside. So what jobs increased by 353,000 in January, up from a revised rate of 333,000 in December. And so, I mean, that exceeded expectations. And the job growth in January suggests the economy is going to continue to grow quickly. That could begin to shift as people start to rethink their spending habits, according to the Bright chief economist for the Bright MLS. So, I what we're seeing here is that the jobs report is like, I can't get over how strong the hiring market is, even though we saw unemployment, initial unemployment claims jump up to 224,000 on January 27th. They were at 215 on the 20th, and as low as 189,000 on the 13th. So they've been moving all over the place, but that's about where they kind of come in. You see that like fluctuation if you look at the unemployment claims. It's shocking to me how strong this jobs market's been. I mean, they were talking about a jobless recession, and it's just not happening. And because that's exceeded expectations so much, that's why the market reacted the way it did, because they're a little afraid, like, all right, well, if people are going to keep spending money, we've got to keep rates higher. And then this is the market. This is not the Fed. But the market's saying, well, if people keep spending money, then rates have to be higher to kind of cool inflation down. That's kind of how I interpret it working here. Was there, I don't want to maybe say the bank, but was this like a big bank, little bank that quoted 7%? Like, what was the kind of the profile of this bank? Because I know yesterday we were seeing quotes around like 6 5/8. So 7 is a little surprising to me.
Yeah. I mean, do you want me to say the name of it, or?
I guess we can. It doesn't matter to me.
It was with Mortgage America.
Okay, wow. So I'm wondering if there's something else going on your clients didn't tell you, though. I mean, like, is their debt to income wacky? Like, there's something that happened there, because to me, I mean, and we're seeing nationally rates are touching 7. I don't think there's any question, but sometimes people aren't like that, like transparent about things with you as well. I mean, I don't. Who knows? I mean, that's a big number. But it's also yesterday. I mean, you just got to let the stuff play out a little bit too. So, do we think rates are going to go back up? I mean, what's the prognosis here? I mean, I find that there's usually like an overreaction, and then they kind of settle in. So I'm anticipating that's what's going to happen here. What do you two think? Do we see rates sticking in the 7s, or are they going to come back down to earth a little bit?
I don't think that the rates are going to go back up. I don't, because I don't think. I mean, the Feds aren't going to raise rates.
Right. That's
what I think. I don't know. I mean, they're all over the place. I do know that they were talking about their 2% inflation rate again.
Mm-hmm.
That's still their goal.
Yeah.
So I guess depending on how other numbers come into play, who knows? They could decide. But again, it is an election year. I think they're going to want to stick to their narrative with we're going to reduce the rates a number of times this year. But it remains to be seen what they decide to do.
I think we're going to stay kind of dancing right where we've been. Like, if they did peak up a little bit over 7 here, I would anticipate them to drop back down into the upper 6s. But I think that we're in that mid to upper 6 range for, at least the next month or so, is I think where we're going to stick.
What this really tells me is that, all these folks that are out there kind of waiting for like rates to come down, rates to go up. Well, you might have a better chance of getting the house you want with rates going up like this. And I mean, there's a lot of companies out there, and I would encourage you to interview lenders, because there's companies out there that they'll give you a float down. They'll let you lock in the rate if it comes down a certain percentage lower. They will work with you a little bit more than what we've seen. And I mean, it's because of the stronger economic data. I mean, this isn't necessarily like a bad thing. It's just, this is where rates are going to be. And, because of that January employment report, and you can't really change that, but it might help you get the house that you want. So, and for all the people waiting, like, hey, I'm waiting for rates to come down, or, I mean, they may not come down. And we've been saying this for a while. Like, a lot of people predicted high fives best case. And I mean, I know some people have like rose-colored glasses they look through and they think they're going to be like in the fives by the end of the year. I'm just not seeing that happening. And we'll have to see what happens at the next Fed meeting. I mean, February is going to be interesting. I don't see any rate cuts happening until probably like late spring, early summer. And if rates persist like this, I mean, I think we're still going to see the lock-in effect. I mean, that's the thing you got to be realizing right now. And there's a lot to unpack here for real estate agents because you can't just rely on better rates to happen for your business to get going. I mean, I think that's one of the biggest things that I see here. So for the agents that are listening, knowing that we're seeing, I mean, I'm on CNBC right now. I mean, they were getting quoted nationally at 7.04%, so it's not that far off. What does this tell you how you should handle your business right now? Like, what evolutions are you making in your business? What pivots? What are you two going to be doing to make sure we keep having consistent sales coming in and you're continuing to help folks?
Well, I mean, I don't think that we're dealing with the situation of, just yesterday we were in the threes. Like that's been gone for a long time. So I think where the rates are now is roughly where we've been for the last several months, So kind of bringing it back to the motivation for your clients and seeing if, all right, with rates being where they are, we can't change that, like the rate is the rate. So what else can we do if this is the house for you to kind of make this work? And, talk to your lender, find out if buying down, a point or something would make things work for you. And just know that like this could be where the rates are for a bit. And if they do drop, competition will most likely increase and you're going to ultimately maybe have a similar monthly payment even with the lower rate because you may have to, get more competitive in some other areas. So, just finding out if the numbers can make sense for you at where it is, that's where we are.
Great advice. What about you, Stace?
I definitely agree about motivation. You have to really target and find out your client's motivation. Where are they? Are they still considering renting for another year, waiting for those rates to come down? But I think presenting them with options is definitely key. Mm-hmm. Tell them there's options, maybe finding off-market deals or, listings that are a little bit higher that have been sitting on the market longer. Yep. Like you said, can you buy down points? Is there any type of gift that they can get just to help them out, getting to something maybe a little bit more expensive or out of their budget, but they could get into and afford the monthly? Right. But I think getting to the heart of the motivation is definitely key. Right. Because if you have people just browsing around, not truly motivated, they don't have a deadline or, it's not a job relocation or their lease is ending or they're getting married or they're having babies, the motivation has to be real. Right. I think if you find that and you target that and you help those folks, then you're gonna have the business come in. Right.
So that's a really great point. I'm going to share something here that we haven't even shared with our team yet. I was texting with some other people in the business about it this morning. What I'm clear on is that you got to be ready to talk to a whole bunch of people right now because there's going to be some folks that just are not going to move, and the people that are on the fence, this could take them off the fence, very clearly. And this has been going on for years now. So if you're not prepared to, and you're doing that pre-planning, like, hey, I want to hit these 200 prospects I got this week, or these 500 prospects, or whatever your number is, you've got to have that done before the week starts. Because once Monday and Tuesday hit, you're running around. I mean, you were joking around I'm a little, I've been working. I mean, we were talking at 6 o'clock last night. That happens all the time. So there's all these things that are going to happen to throw you off your game. Your top priority as an agent is to fill your pipeline. And the folks that don't get that, or they're waiting for an easy deal to come through, you're going to be waiting a while. The second thing, Stacey, you hit on this, Sarah, you did as well. You know how we have the ALM script for buyers, we ask for the appointment, we find out what area they're interested in and get to the motivation. Well, there's another script, another acronym. We can call it the ADAM script, right? So you get the appointment, you get the timing, and you get the motivation for a seller. Because if you don't know when and where they're moving to, they're just not moving. We were talking about someone, I think collectively been working with this person for 9 or 10 years now. He hasn't done anything yet. We can look at the CRM and see all that. I don't know if there's a lot of motivation there. His timing's questionable. Now, there's intent to sell, so that's a little different. But you flip that to think about the last listing that you both took to the market, right? We've got one we're working on. I know you've got one that just hit. The timing's there. You know what the motivation is. that checks the boxes. The only way to find those people in a 7% rate environment is to talk to as many people as possible. And that's the thing agents just don't want to do right now. And to me, this job is all about getting on the phone and having conversations. So if you're not talking to enough people or you're not happy where your pipeline is, there's an easy solution. You just got to sit down. If you don't have anything going on all day, get some coffee brewing, get your headset on, and start making some phone calls. And it's really that simple. That the Adam script, appointment, timeline, motivation, to me is like LP Mama for sellers, and a lot of people don't ever think about that. So I think that's really important.
Oh, I was thinking Adam, like ADAM, and I was like, wait,
ATM.
Hold on. ATM, okay.
Anytime money machine or whatever the heck that stands for. I mean, I don't, we used to call it Mac machines because I'm old. I don't know. Okay, you guys remember Mac machines. That makes me feel better. So I'd be looking at like, how do I talk to enough people? What's their time frame? What's their motivation? Like the motivation has got to be there because if they're not motivated, they're not going to transact. You get those people, I'm looking for a deal. Like there's no deals happening in 2024, right? The deal's getting the house or getting your home sold. That's it. And we're going to talk about working the deal next with when we unpack this Ryan Serhant interview here. So any other takeaways with the Fed meeting? Do you anticipate? I mean, I don't see rate cuts happening till like late spring at the earliest. And I mean, the way the economy is right now, I mean, I think we're going to kind of bounce around in like that 6 to 7 range with rates. I don't see this changing too much. I mean, what do you two think?
Yeah, I think we're going to be dancing right around there.
And when you say if folks don't have anything to do, that just boggles my mind. Like my head just like popped. Yeah. If agents, if you don't have anything to do, I mean, you need to circle dial. You need to get out and door knock.
I don't even think you need to do that. I would call your database first. Like the people that are in front of you. Like, I mean, it could be your database. It could be if you get leads. Just start there. Like, stop overthinking things. Like, there's people that you know have notes on them. You know what's going on. Just start with that.
And you have to get on the phone. You do. Key.
All right, we're going to break it right there. Well said, Stacy. So we're going to take a quick break. We are going to come back and talk about Keller Williams, the third company to settle in the Sitzer-Burnett lawsuit. A lot to talk about there. This is Toole Time, Real Estate Radio on WWDB 860 AM.
For the best local mortgage service and great rates on your money, look no further than Mortgage America. We have been operating in the greater Philadelphia area for 40 years with a focus on smooth, easy access to home purchasing. Whether you're a first-time buyer, upsizing or downsizing, or just refinancing, we have programs for you. We also have closing cost assistance programs and access to subsidized interest rates. Pre-approval is free, no costs or commitments. To learn more, visit our website at mymortgageamerica.com or give us a call at 610-439-8000. We always have a person available to take your call with around-the-clock human service. Purchase your home with the personalized local service you find at Mortgage America.
Mortgage America is an equal housing lender. NMLS 128501.
The Tom Toole Sales Group is the #1 RE/MAX team in Pennsylvania with over $165 million in volume for 2021. I'm Tom Toole, and our team has achieved that kind of success by being a great place to work with and to work for. No one knows Greater Philly better than we do. We know real estate, but more importantly, we're real people. We hire the best agents, and we give them all the tools to succeed. Even our brand new agents sell 17 to 24 homes a year because our team delivers the best experience in real estate. Teams deliver a better experience than individuals, and we're a top 1% real estate team in the country. We call it AAA service. We're your advocate, ally, and advisor. Because this isn't a transaction to us, it's a relationship. If you're buying or selling a home, call the Tom Toole Sales Group at RE/MAX main line at 610-692-6976 or visit tomtoole.com. That's tomtoole.com. Sell your home for more, and remember the real estate golden rule. You always get more when you work with Tom Toole.
When you're getting a mortgage, you shouldn't have to sacrifice great service just to get a great rate. At Mortgage America, we've been lending with this philosophy for over 35 years. We have access to great low rates without the complications and delays of big or online banks. We're a local Pennsylvania lender with loan officers that you can actually meet. As PHFA's #1 lender, we specialize in all residential mortgage programs, including first-time buyer programs and low down payment options. For your free pre-approval, call us at 610-439-8000 or apply online at mymortgageamerica.com. Mortgage America is an equal housing lender. NMLS 128501.
8501.
Have you considered a career in real estate? Do you want control over your income? Whether you have a license or not, call us today at 610-692-6976 or visit TomToole.com. Join our team, the Tom Toole Sales Group at RE/MAX Main Line.
Welcome back to Toole Time Real Estate Radio on WWDB 860 AM. I'm Tom Toole. She's Sarah Time, she's Stacy Mitchell. And we've got Nick Wolf behind the camera. We all work at the Tom Toole Sales Group at RE/MAX Main Line, the #1 RE/MAX team in Pennsylvania since 2018. And every week, we're live on YouTube. We're going to talk about the Keller Williams settling as the third company for the Sitzer-Burnett Commission lawsuit. We're going to cover the Ryan Serhant interview, the best interview this guy's ever done. I have a new respect for Ryan. We're going to talk about that in the next segment. So if you get some value out of this, you like what you hear, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell for notifications. So February 1st, last week, Keller Williams agreed to a $70 million settlement, one of the three remaining defendants, with Michael Ketchmark and the plaintiffs in the Sitzer-Burnett lawsuit. The statement that came out, and then I want to get your reaction to this, Daryl Frost, the spokesperson for KW, the PR guy, this will not impact our operations or our ability to support our franchisees and agents. That's great. Gary Keller, we are thankful that this settlement provides our agents and franchisees with much-needed relief, stability, and freedom from distraction while preserving their ability to run their businesses independently. As we move past this settled lawsuit, all of us at Keller Williams are focused on what we do best, empowering our entrepreneurs to continue delivering exceptional value in this rapidly evolving market. We don't know the terms of the settlement. Gary Keller did share that it releases individual agents and franchisees from copycat litigation filed in the wake of Sitzer-Burnett. If that's part of all the settlements, that's a boon for Keller Williams. I hope it's the case for everybody. This goes on and on here. So now we've got three companies that have settled anywhere in RE/MAX, and the last people standing are Home Services and NAR. So what's your initial reaction to this?
Yeah, I think it's a smart move, and best to just move on and let's keep going. I feel like this has just been spinning. And I think we all anticipated that was ultimately going to be what they ended up doing. It just all right, do it. Let's go.
Mm-hmm.
I'm surprised they waited so long, honestly. So this is really great news for them and all the agents and brokers involved, because it's a big weight lifted off of their shoulders. Just get it wrapped up, get it done, and move forward. Because I'm just really surprised still that NAR and Home Services are holding out. It's inevitable. I'm assuming that they would want to settle also. Maybe they just didn't come to terms yet. But I think the sooner the better for all parties involved.
So once they settle, there was a thing that you had mentioned there about then stopping the copycat lawsuits. Can they not continue to go forward once, everybody's settled on the primary?
So this is what Gary Keller said. So no one knows the details of these settlements. Keller shared it releases individuals, meaning individual agents and franchisees, from copycat litigation filed in the wake. So he had another statement. So let me read the statement. We had full confidence in the strength of our appeal, but we also knew the appellate process could be long and unpredictable, smart, and that our franchisees and agents would have no protection and complete uncertainty while the process played out. Our Keller Williams family needs and deserves protection now, not later. That's good leadership. I have no issue. I like Gary Keller. I think he's a very smart guy. So I think that's really an intelligent the way he's looking at this. The statement goes on. We came to the decision to settle with careful consideration for the immediate and long-term well-being of our agents, our franchisees, and the business models they depend on. It was a decision to bring stability, relief, and the freedom for all of us to focus on our mission without distractions. It allows us to turn our attention back to what we do best, delivering unparalleled value in an ever-evolving real estate market. So, it sounds like it does. I don't know. If they're able to negotiate that, that's money well spent.
Yeah, that's a win. Because I feel like the additional copycat lawsuits that have popped up and would probably continue to pop up are just a distraction,
Mm-hmm.
So if they're able to nip that would be well worth it.
For sure. Now here's the thing about Home Services and NAR. So you guys mentioned they're kind of the last people standing. So Home Services is owned by Warren Buffett, right? The Berkshire Hathaway. It's a little bit of a different company. That's the lone brokerage left. And NAR just filed a request that all 19 National Copycat Commission lawsuits are consolidated and the trial be held in Illinois or Texas rather than Missouri, which we know Michael Ketchmark, the lead attorney for the plaintiffs, is unlikely to support. I'm pretty clear on that. What we also know is Michael Ketchmark came out and said, hey, we got as much as we could. We don't want to bankrupt these companies. My feeling is they're holding out for a bigger settlement from both of these companies. Home Services is a much different company the way it's structured compared to RE/MAX, Keller Williams, or anywhere. I mean, you look at the amounts that were settled. You know, the jury ruling, let's not forget, was damages of $1.7 billion, and if you treble the damages or triple it, it's north of $5 billion. So, you know, I think the thing here is this is just I don't know what they're looking for. My guess is Home Services is probably going to be next. I think that's probably how that plays out. NAR is talking about, you know, that they want to go to court, they want to appeal. That's all fine. I think they're going for more money here, number one, and that you know that they're just not agreeing to it. You know, the flip side is I don't think, you know, NAR is not going to save anybody here. I mean, at this point, I don't know. I don't know how NAR comes back from all this because it's not just this. They've got these sexual harassment lawsuits. Then the new CEO, did you guys see that video she posted? So it said, hey, we've never at NAR mandated certain commission percentages. Well, that's not true. They did it in the 1930s. So they post this video, they take it down. It's like, just imagine someone, you've probably been in like transactions with these kind of people, like what can go wrong will go wrong. They just like bumble the entire time. And it's like, one mistake after another, and nothing can go right. And that's exactly what NAR is doing here. So this is good leadership for KW. I mean, they settled for less than anywhere, more than RE/MAX. I mean, it all depends on the balance sheet and the size of the company. I mean, comparable figures, you know, it's squarely in the middle, literally. I mean, they're $13.5 million below and 15 above what Anywhere and RE/MAX did respectively. So I like this move for KW. I don't think this is good news for NAR, which is, you know, we've been talking about this in excess here. I mean, I don't know how they're going to come back. It's just like one thing after another. Like literally, like, I mean, what's going to happen next? I mean, it would have to be something ridiculous to even top all this stuff because that's how bad they've looked.
It wouldn't be surprising.
Right.
If it was something ridiculous. Yeah.
So, you know, looking at this here, I mean, and then we talked a little bit last week about that new, you know, there's now like this rival association. I mean, I think that's kind of a joke personally. I don't think it's the right way to set it up. I mean, do you see any, like, what's going to happen to NAR? Like, I mean, I think that's really the question here that comes out of this because they had like the debate with like Michael Ketchmark and Lakia from that was kind of a clown show. I watched a little bit of it. I couldn't really stand it. It was just like two people yelling at each other. It was like, you ever see PTI on ESPN? The two guys debating back and forth. And they're kind of ridiculous. So apparently I live under a rock. So it's like it's almost like just hot take after hot take rather than actual debate. I don't. NAR's in a lot of trouble here, and they're not going to save anyone's ass right now. I mean, it's just like you're not going to get bailed out by NAR, and I think that's a major problem here.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like they've put. I'm not surprised that there is talk of other rival. You know, coming up because they've put themselves in such a position and they just keep like digging the hole deeper. So not surprising that somebody would want to come in and maybe seize an opportunity.
So the flip side of this just got posted yesterday or this morning that Home Services now wants the U.S. Supreme Court to weigh in on the Sitzer-Burnett case, which I found they petitioned the Supreme Court on last week apparently to request a review of an earlier appeals court ruling barring it from enforcing arbitration agreements signed by seller clients, which I find pretty interesting. So they look like they're taking the fight pretty hard here. I mean, that's that's pretty interesting. But again, they're a bigger company. I mean, it's you know, they have Home Services is owned by Warren Buffett. It's owned by Berkshire. It's a much different setup than these others. So yeah, that's looks like they're going to keep fighting here. I don't know. Maybe this is just a whole like posturing to get to a better settlement number.
Yeah, could be a strategy.
So here's an interesting question. They were asked why they believe their arguments will be more successful in front of the Supreme Court than they were in front of the appeals court. And the vice president of Home Services, Executive Vice President Chris Kelly, said our appeal is rooted in the principles of the Federal Arbitration Act, which clearly mandates that arbitration agreements be honored as they are written, including clauses that delegate interpretive authority to arbitrators. In Sitzer-Burnett, the court took it upon itself to the role of interpreting the arbitration agreement, a decision we believe was contrary to the Act's stipulations, and this appeal highlights substantial inconsistency among circuit courts regarding the interpretation of arbitration agreements and delegation clauses. So I think that's actually pretty legit there. That's kind of my view of it. And Michael Ketchmark didn't really have anything to say. So what do you think about that? I mean, this is all. This keeps getting juicier here.
It's the many. I don't know. It seems to be going a little bit sideways. It should be interesting though, like to see if it does make its way to Supreme Court. I mean, would they actually hear it?
They might. I mean, the federal government's had an interest in the real estate industry. I mean, there was a DOJ investigation, so I mean, let's not forget about that, and that was reopened by the current administration. So, after there was a settlement that was reached, I mean, we don't know when the Supreme Court's going to rule on it. The Federal Arbitration Act is real. I think that's something that I've seen this happen a couple times, and we see this all happen all the time with real estate transactions. I don't know if you were, hey, I'm going to sue, right? Well, this isn't what the contract says. The contract says you got to go to arbitration first. Now, you don't have to voluntarily participate in that, but if you want to sue, you've got to take all the different steps. Like, you can't skip things, and that's a really big deal. That's legal advice that I've gotten from attorneys that I've worked with that I think you all know who I'm talking about. So that's really important here, and it's, I mean, if they're going to, I mean, they also have a bigger bankroll to take this. I mean, I think what they're looking for a bigger number here, so they might have more at risk than KW or Remax or anywhere.
So wait, just to like break this down into a little bit of like simpler terms. So They went to arbitration, did not like what the result there was, want to take it to the Supreme Court because like they feel as though what was discussed or like whatever in arbitration wasn't following actually what the contracts were and what the law says we're allowed to do?
Not quite. So I'm glad we're breaking this down. So what the argument is from Home Services, and according to the petition, Home Services wants the Supreme Court to resolve is who decides whether an entity that did not sign an arbitration agreement can enforce it when the agreement says it would be up to the arbitrator. So let me keep going here. So it's okay. I mean, this is confusing stuff. So the court's erroneous decision, apparently they're saying it usurped the arbitrator's authority, subjected Home Services to an unwarranted class trial and a resulting jury verdict. So the trial should have never have occurred because the plaintiffs are required to arbitrate their claims, and their arguments opposing arbitration must be resolved by the arbitrator, not a court. So it's exactly what I'm talking about. They skipped a step, and they went right to what happens here, because when you think about this, if you got these 6 plaintiffs, what if they just said, hey, what if they agreed in arbitration just to pay them what they felt like? I mean, they could have avoided this whole thing, and it wouldn't have been a class lawsuit. So I'm not an attorney. None of us are here. This is not legal advice. I feel like we got to say that in these situations. But they skipped the step here, which is exactly, I mean, literally what I just said to you guys, and which I find pretty interesting. So this thing got to slow down. That's really what's what we see more than anything else. And NAR, I mean, I mean, Home Services is going to do what they're going to do. They're a different company, but NAR, I mean, it's just I don't know what they're going to do next. I mean, it's like where do you go from here? So it's very interesting.
I don't know, with their internal issues going on, it's hard for me to see where, I mean, they just seem like they're spinning. Right. Things are just spinning, and, there's so many people changing around at the top of the company, and they have just so many problems. I know that they're trying to focus or refocus on how to regain trust and, reverse their membership losses.
Right.
But I don't know how you reverse your membership losses.
Right, without offering something beneficial.
Right. Right now they're lacking in credibility and trust. A lot of people don't want to be associated with that organization.
Right.
Well, we're seeing that. I mean, the people that can opt out if they don't have the MLS tie-in are opting out, and there's going to be more and more of that. So, I mean, this is going to be and then there's the question of why do you have to have the MLS tie-in? So I just this is no good for NAR. I mean, I think they're in a lot of trouble here. So let's take a quick break. We're going to come back. We're going to talk about what I'm most excited about, which is the Ryan Serhant interview with Byron Lazine. That'll be next on Toole Time Real Estate Radio on WWDB 860 AM.
You shouldn't have to deal with all the red tape when getting your mortgage from a big or online bank. At Mortgage America, we have access to big bank money, but with the personalized and detailed service of a local bank. We are here in your community and ready to serve with fast settlements, low down payment options, and first-time homebuyer programs. Pre-approval is free, no costs or commitments. For more information, visit our website at mymortgageamerica.com or give us a call at 610-439-8000.
Mortgage America's equal housing lender. NMLS 128501.
Have you considered a career in real estate? Do you want control over your income? Whether you have a license or not, call us today at 610-692-6976 or visit TomToole.com. Join our team, the Tom Toole Sales Group at RE/MAX Main Line. I'm Tom Toole of the Tom Toole Sales Group at RE/MAX Main Line. If you're thinking of becoming a real estate agent in the greater Philly area, I have a special offer for you. Our team did $165 million of volume in 2021, making us the #1 RE/MAX team in Pennsylvania and a top 1% team nationally. Our agents love us because we offer them a successful career, a great life, and an unbeatable culture. Agents who've been with us for at least a year average 30-plus sales. Even our brand new agents average 17 to 24 sales a year. We offer proven systems and expert training. We help you set more appointments and sell more houses. Now, here's the offer. If you don't have a real estate license yet, we offer real estate scholarships so you can get one for free. Check it out at realestatescholarshipprogram.com or visit the Tom Toole Sales Group at RE/MAX Main Line at tomtoole.com. That's tomtoole.com. Get more out of your real estate career, and remember the real estate golden rule. You always get more when you work with Tom Toole.
When you're getting a mortgage, you shouldn't have to sacrifice great service just to get a great rate. At Mortgage America, we've been lending with this philosophy for over 35 years. We have access to great low rates without the complications and delays of big or online banks. We're a local Pennsylvania lender with loan officers that you can actually meet. As PHFA's #1 lender, we specialize in all residential mortgage programs, including first-time buyer programs and low down payment options. For your free pre-approval, call us at 610-439-8000 or apply online at mymortgageamerica.com.
Mortgage America's equal housing lender. NMLS 128501.
All right. Welcome back to Toole Time Real Estate Radio on WWDB 860 AM. I'm Tom Toole. She's Stacy Mitchell. She's Sarah Timon. We've got Nick Wolf behind the camera, and we all work at the Tom Toole Sales Group at RE/MAX Main Line, the #1 RE/MAX team in Pennsylvania since 2018. And we're going to talk about, I think this might be the best interview that BAM has had so far, was Ryan Serhant, which is, I mean, they've had a lot of good people on there. I mean, and I found this interview very fascinating for a lot of reasons. If you don't know Ryan Serhant, he's on $1 Million Listing, but he's also has a mega team that spans up and down the Northeast, started his own brokerage. So if you like what you hear, you get some value out of this, make sure to subscribe to the channel on YouTube, click on the bell for notifications, and if you want to schedule a call with our amazing team about your real estate needs, these two ladies specifically, click on the link in the comments. So I found a lot of great nuggets in this interview. I'm going to probably have to listen to it again. The big thing about this is, like, I mean, he said this too. I mean, I know Byron well. I mean, you guys have all met Byron. Byron asked like business questions, like about like real estate and stuff that at least I would get excited about. I would imagine you two would. Maybe me, probably more so because I'm a nerd. But Ryan Serhant said to him, no one ever asked me these questions. They ask about Bravo and like being on a TV show and all these other things. So what I find interesting here is a lot of people don't give the folks on these $1 Million Listing shows enough credit, that they're practitioners, they understand how to do business. And New York City is a very competitive market. I mean, there's a lot of agents up there. They don't have an MLS. There's a lot of things to unpack. So I would listen to this interview for sure. I saw 4 things that really jumped out to me. So I want to unpack them a little bit, and obviously, let's kind of chat about it here. So the first thing that really jumped out at me, I know I sent this to our team, I guess it was like Saturday morning, where people ask like who you work for in this business. So what are the normal answers you heard? I mean, obviously we know what he says here, but what would you normally say to that if I asked you who you work for, Sarah or Stacy?
Well, I mean, I would say that I like run my own business, but then I guess follow that up with like, you're working for your clients.
Mm-hmm. That would be the most common responses. Yeah.
So, and your perspective's good. I like that you're running your own business. Like that's basically what they're talking about here. Because really, here's what I hear from agents. I work for myself. Like no one's the boss. Like that's fine. Or I work for my clients. But the reality is, our job is what? To sell homes and to get buyers' properties and get listings sold. And not enough people are working for the deal right now and giving options how to push the deal ahead. There's so many quick. They don't want to buy it anymore. The terminations there. Have you seen a lot of this? Like, I mean, people are just ready to give up on these things. And, in my view, it's like I'm very pro deal. I actually believe, I never thought of it like this, but the fact that your job is one thing, to move the deal ahead, that's really the only objective in this business. And when you focus on all the other stuff, there's a lot of things getting in the way. So when you heard that, did that change your perspective on how to run your business a little bit? Now, I mean, obviously we all work together, so I think we obviously think alike, or you wouldn't be sitting here as long as you guys have. So what was your reaction to this? I found that fascinating.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty easy to get distracted by different things that happen during the course of a transaction. And, you always want what's in the best interest of your clients. But sometimes your clients can't see past some of the things where, like, the best interest may be to get to the settlement table. And, like, certainly there's little pieces that you need to work out along the way. Some things you can't overcome. Sometimes deals terminate. Sometimes that is the best case scenario. But other times, I feel like sometimes you have to have those uncomfortable situations or uncomfortable conversations where, it would be easy if they're your clients like, that's it, we're pulling out, we're done, to be like, sure. And, that's always an option if you're still in that time frame and whatnot. But to, think about, pushing everything forward and like, no, let's overcome it. Let's get to settlement and move the deal along.
Yeah, I think working for the deal, it really, if you distill it down, it's problem solving. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? That's basically what it comes down to. Right. And be creative, find out why, ask questions, what's going on, what's your apprehension. There's so much emotion involved with buyers and sellers. I mean, everybody at that point, when they're in the deal, is so hyper focused on different things. Sellers are worried about moving all their crap out of the house and getting somewhere else. Buyers are worried about, am I making the best decision? So they're so, and little things could set them off.
Yes, and oftentimes do.
Oh my gosh, $500 credits could like blow a whole deal.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So we have to be the ones that are working for the deal. Let's keep our emotions out of it. Be the level-headed person. You have to bring solutions to the table to make everybody feel like they're whole and getting what each side wants. So I think if you're focused on that and focused on problem solving, then you're going to get better results.
Right. And having like a little bit of an open mind, like for, okay, and working with the agent on the other side of the transaction is not your enemy. Yeah. You need to view them as a person that like you two will work together while both representing your own clients, but like talk to each other, figure out, what solutions you can come up with so that you can go back to your different clients and move it along.
Yeah. I think if if you have that relationship with the other agent, they know their party, your party for the most part. What is it that we both sides have to do to get this to move along?
Yeah.
That is the best. I mean, I've had to work with other agents to, get $1,000 worth of repairs done.
Yeah.
Because both sides were not doing anything.
Yeah.
And they were going to both terminate, and they were fine with that, over $1,000.
Right.
So you take it upon yourself. Sometimes you have to do these things to get the deal to the finish line.
Right. When I like how you just said there, like ask questions. Like if you don't ask and if you're not like open with the other person that also the other agent that needs to like get everything to the table there could be solutions that you skip or that go kind of like that you just like don't talk about that really could work. So just ask and be open and see what you guys can do.
I love what you both said there, and what we've seen is that because of the pandemic, not a lot of people understand like how to like deal with like inspection issues or contingencies, and there's not that ability like, hey, if you don't do everything you can to get this as clean as possible, we're just going to go to the next buyer. That market's not here anymore, and sometimes you only get one shot to sell someone a house or one shot to get the listing sold. And if you're not really reacting that way, like think about an inspection. That's to me is the most annoying thing in real estate in general, because you get an inspector in there. You ever have an alarmist inspector before? Right? And the buyer walks out of there, hair's on fire, they're all freaked out. And they're like, oh, we're out. And it's like, well, hold on a second here. Let's actually get like some information about this. Let's see what it's going to cost to do these things, because that can calm everyone down. You hear, pick any home defect that's out there, like problem with the roof, or there's a problem. And if it's as simple as, hey, you just got to extend a gutter out and that could cost, or a window needs to get fixed or whatever it is, that is so critical. And there's things that are going to go wrong in these deals. I mean, the township or the municipality comes in, what the disclosure requirements are. Like, you've got to know the next couple steps for your client so you can give them options, Stacy, like you said, where we've been talking about like the 1-3-1, right? So you give them, here's the problem, here's 3 solutions, what do you recommend? And that is what working the deal is all about. So I thought that was, out of anything in this interview, to me, that's the best piece of advice, because so many people get, like, they're like, oh, well, I want my clients to be happy and this to be a smooth transaction. Well, I got a spoiler alert for you. The house they want may not be a smooth transaction. So you bought a house recently. Was that a smooth transaction?
Well, yeah.
Okay, maybe the 6, but you lost out on some, right? Like, I mean, you also knew what you were doing, but I mean, there was some stuff that happened, right? So, I mean, and think about even the clients you get along the best with. Something goes wrong, they go from 0 to upset really quickly, and you got to work the deal. I mean, that's what we get. That's really what it comes down to. So I thought that was the best piece of advice from the interview. Here's the second thing I took away from this, and then we're gonna talk about some other stuff around the lawsuit and follow up. That not being organized and not being disciplined to be able to prioritize what you do best. He said that not being organized is one of the biggest reasons why agents fail, but it's not like being the most organized person. Because I know I'm not the most organized person. Right? How organized, like 1 to 10, would you ladies rate yourselves here?
I have like really strong organization skills for some things, but for others, I'm like, I can't be bothered with it.
well, right,
You know what I mean?
right.
It's like that. I don't even care about that.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's being organized in a way that prioritizes what you do best, right? And like there's other stuff you don't need to be organized on. Like I don't have some schedule that's all color-coded, but my schedule's time blocked, right? So I think some people like they have like these like, They sell a home and they've got everything like neatly organized and like all that. Like we have our systems and they work. Like that's really what it comes down to. So I think it's being organized in the areas where you need to be organized, and then realizing this is what your job is, to prioritize what you do best. What do you think about that? Because it kind of it's a follow up to the first one where you end up talking about stuff that has no bearing on whether you're selling houses or not.
Yeah, I think having things, I mean, you have to be organized when you're going through deals. Like if you're constantly trying to find something, you're constantly trying to look for something and you forget things. Not knowing your deadlines,
Right.
I mean, that is imperative.
Right.
Especially, I mean, you should be on top of that. Your buyers shouldn't, you have to understand your buyers and sellers are dealing with a lot of other things. Luckily, we have our support staff who is amazing, and they provide us with this wonderful breakdown, one-page consolidation sheet. That becomes like my book right there.
Yeah.
That's all I need.
Right.
And I follow that. And I know if there's a deadline coming up and I haven't heard from my client, I better get on that.
Right.
So being organized in that sense to keep the deal together so that, the deal is the most important, that's going to make for a lot more smoother transactions.
Right. Yeah, and having kind of like your punch list of like what actually is, important and imperative to keeping things moving along. And then sometimes you can give way too much info about things that really don't matter and kind of cause issues because you like over communicated on some different things. So like keeping things streamlined and like sharing what needs to be shared, but not like overdoing it, I guess.
Oh, that's good. Yes.
Well, over disclosing, right? I think that's a good way to look at it. I mean, you talk about having those dates. I had a sheet. It was a spreadsheet with all the dates and deadlines. I carried it with me at all times, along with all the listings that we've had at all times, because I might get a call at 3 o'clock and I'm in between appointments. I need to know what the hell's going on. So that's being organized, but also like not organized. Like I don't know how to explain this here. Like I have a system that works for me, and then also knowing like I got that here. I don't need to be sitting around for a half hour figuring things out. And I know I need to be disciplined to in the mornings making my calls and doing the things that are going to, my future self is going to thank me for. So I thought that was pretty, interesting as well. And there's a lot of agents out there. I mean, they can't even send organized offers, right? Like, have you ever gotten an offer where, like, it's 10 different attachments, or you get the PDF and it's, like, sideways, and they're, like, missing a bunch of stuff? Like, that's being organized, knowing how to write contracts and doing things like that, because that can cost you a sale in a lot of cases. I mean, it shows your competency level there. Or it might cost you a client. Imagine if you send, like, the wrong paperwork to a client, and they're like, what the hell is this? That could be the end of it. So there are things where you got to be organized to know what to do, how to do them, for sure. And that's what happens when you skip steps in a process. So third one, follow up with value and never expect a response. What do you think about that?
If you don't have expectations, you're not going to be disappointed. You know what I mean? For the most part. So, I mean, we do have certain expectations because we set goals, right? But for the most part, if you're following up, if you're, going through your database, sending out emails, sending out market updates, things like that, don't expect to hear back, because you might not hear back for 6 months, a year. But those people know, if you know that they're opening those emails and they're, getting that information, and they'll eventually respond to you. Sometimes you get that, hey, we're now getting ready to, start looking.
Right.
It was all that follow-up to them, all those touches to them that led to that.
Right.
So if you expect an immediate response, you're going to be disappointed.
Yeah. And I think that also goes to having a large enough database and a large enough pipeline and people at different stages in the process that you, like, the last thing you want is to be like, I need this person to respond to me, or like, it's going to ruin my day, it's going to ruin my week. You know what I mean? Like, you want to have enough going on in enough different stages that while you're providing value, you're not like relying on some immediate response from them to like keep you in an okay place in your business.
Really well said. I think that what you said there, Sarah, is so true, because I've seen this happen. All right, this person, they better buy a house or I'm in a lot of trouble. And everyone focuses all their efforts on, and that can, imagine being on the other side of that. Like, when you're getting, and if you don't know how to edit and come on, you don't ever want to feel like it's like they're getting forced to do something. But when people behave that way, you can feel it. Like if someone's like desperate, right? And I think that's a problem. And being too pushy is a problem. So the mindset here is I have no expectation of ever getting a call back. And that's where, email marketing, content marketing, all the stuff that, I mean, like what we do here on the radio show, right? There's no expectation here of getting people to call and say, hey, I heard you on the radio. Like, let's, or I saw it on YouTube. But then when you do, well, what does happen though, and I know this happened to you, both of you, is that, hey, I've seen the stuff you're talking about. I'm more interested in chatting with you now than maybe I was a year ago because of all that follow-up. And all it is you're giving value here and providing information. And that's what content marketing is all about. So I thought that was really, really insightful here. And when you detach from the outcome, it just makes things so much easier. I mean, you're like, it's like, all right, cool. And you just move on to the next one and then just have those conversations and keep going. So I thought that was very insightful. The last one here, he talked about the commission lawsuit. I found this to be very interesting. Almost a conflicting viewpoint here, where that you need to know everything about the commission lawsuit, which I know we've done internally. I mean, we've had trainings about it. We had like 300 people zoom in from across the country to check it out. But also realize most people aren't talking about it. And that's like, I've seen this happen where like people, they get an objection. They just want to jump down their throat and give them all the information. That's like the worst thing you can do. So what's your observation on knowing everything about the lawsuit, but realize that most people aren't even aware about it?
I think it just goes back to, being knowledgeable about what's going on, so that if it does come up, you're able to answer with confidence and knowledge, and this is what's currently going on with the situation, but not like there's no reason to be like bringing it up because some people aren't even aware of it, don't care about it, and like it doesn't actually affect them right now. So, but certainly if a client or someone brings up to you what's going on, if you are not able to speak to what is happening, like that is not a good look for you. So be prepared.
Yeah, be prepared. You're not going to dive so deep into it with most people,
Right.
unless you want to watch their eyes glaze over and totally check out.
Right.
Because it's not that interesting, especially like you said, Sarah, there's no effect.
Right.
Everything is still operating as is right now. So, but you do have to know. I mean, we have to know a lot about everything. This is what we do.
Yeah.
So you have to be prepared, and I think confidence is everything. So if you know the information, you're going to be confident, and that comes out when you're dealing with people every day on a whole litany of questions that come your way.
Sure.
Well, I think you guys hit the nail on the head. Is that we got to know it all, and you got to be ready. But we've also dealt with a lot of affluent people that know their business. I mean, I've met with them. I'm thinking about the past 2 months, just working with you guys, and it doesn't come up. And these people are in financial services. They own businesses. They know about real estate. I mean, and it doesn't come up because they're worried about where they're moving to and how they're going to get their home sold and what their needs are. And when you focus on that as an agent, to me, everything changes. Now, the challenge is most agents are like, all right, how am I getting this listing? And it goes back to what he said in the third point, which is you got to detach from the outcome. Like, I mean, we went on an appointment last week, right? I think they're going to move at some point, right? It's not anytime soon. I'm pretty clear on that. I know you had some follow-up conversations with them. We've been on appointments like that. And if you're just there, hey, and what did they say when we got done, Sarah? They're like, oh, this is so helpful. Thank you for all the information. And we didn't ask for anything. We had sold them. They had moved 10 years ago. Our team had helped them buy and sell. And they're not going anywhere. We're going to be their people when they transact. Now, it could be 2 years from now, but we don't really know. And I think, the same thing goes. I mean, think about all the clients you deal with where the folks that I know you're helping them out and a little further, but it was just sold their dad's house. I think it was like 2 years ago or last year in media. I mean, there was no expectation there. And it just, when you don't have an expectation of doing business and you're providing value, that's when you actually attract more business. It's like the exact opposite of what people think, which is so fascinating to me, but that's about doing this stuff every day so that it gets easier the more you do it, I guess is the point. So any other takeaways you had from the interview with Ryan here? I mean, this changed my opinion of him very clearly. Like, I mean, I seen him speak twice. Once was at the Gary V real estate summit in Miami Dolphin Stadium, and that was like, okay, this was, good Lord, that was like 2000 and I don't know, maybe like 16, 17, something like that. And then I saw him speak at a Sales Edge in Brooklyn, which was real quick. But this was probably the best interview I've seen him give, and it's way different than the person you see on television. I mean, the guy seems like he really knows the business, which I like.
Well, this is all the things that he's done to get him into the position. Like, he was an agent before TV.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's like he was actually doing the business before TV.
Mm-hmm.
People don't realize that, and then when you hit TV, obviously it can totally increase your business tenfold. But these are all the things, and it seems like he's still doing these, using all these suggestions and tips, and this is what is bringing him success.
Parting shots here, Sarah. What'd you get out of the interview? Besides that you couldn't listen to the whole thing.
I thought he had a lot of good advice there, and a lot of it came down to just the same things that he's not doing anything that different than what we do. It's being scheduled, it's having your schedule, it's spending the time, it's building the pipeline, it's all the things that you do on a daily basis that then eventually bring you the results. So he doesn't have he doesn't have the crystal ball either, he's just doing the things that, and consistently and over time, that bring the results.
Well said. Great way to end the show here. So that's all we got for this week's episode. You want to follow Stacy? She's on Instagram. It's at the #2 Mitchco. You can follow Sarah at Ty_Ty Time. You can follow me at Tom Toole 3RD at Tom Toole 3rd. And again, we're live every week on YouTube on WWDB 860 AM. Make sure to hit the bell for notifications. Subscribe to the channel if you got some value out of this. We'll be back next week on Toole Time Real Estate Radio on WWDB.